it. Kushner's lawyer dismissed the stories in a statement to NBC News, saying, quote, "It is not uncommon for these clearance reviews to take this long in a new administration. The new clearance policy will not affect Mr. Kushner's ability to continue to do the very important work he has been assigned by the president." Benjamin Wittes is an MSNBC legal analyst and editor-in-chief of the national security blog Lawfare. Michael Allen is managing director of Beacon Global Strategies, which specializes in cyber and intelligence issues. He formerly served as staff director for Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee, so the perfect people to join me to help understand just how significant this all is. Michael, let me start with you. And this question that looms over all of this, what does this really mean in terms the extent to which Jared Kushner continued to do his job? He has a very big portfolio. He has been put in charge of brokering peace in the Middle East, working on China. Will he be able to serve effectively?
I don't think so. I think he's been severely wounded. I worked in the White House for 7 years and had a top secret clearance. When you go to meetings, you basically assume, when the topic is national security, that everyone has the same clearance level. It just introduces this incredible factor of awkwardness if suddenly you know from the papers that your colleague doesn't have the same clearance, you're not sure what you can say, and the rest, it is as if you're trying to go into negotiations with your hands tied behind your back. It just won't work on national security stuff. It may on infrastructure, but not on Mideast peace.
On this broader question of, look, the president has the ultimate authority. He can say, I want Jared to sit in on today's presidential daily brief. Can he do that? How big of a deal would it be if President Trump tried to circumvent this decision by John Kelly?
So I think he can do it. He's recognized as the commander-in-chief in the Constitution. He's the ultimate arbiter of who receives what. He deserves to be able to get advice from whomever he needs to, but it would be a big deal. I mean, everybody would rightly point out that, hey, if the security professionals think that you're blackmailable or that you're indebted to a foreign government like the Chinese, that severely hamstrings your ability to do your job and will lead to a ton of criticism.
And Ben, what is your take on the broader significance here? Do you in fact anticipate that what's going to happen is behind the scenes, the president's going to say, this is my son-in-law, he's my senior advisor, I haven't taken him off of being the lead in terms of trying to broker peace in the Middle East, I want him to have this information? Do you expect that that's what we'll see from this president?
So I don't know what to expect from the president this time or ever, really. I agree with Mike about the general landscape. And look, the president is entitled to proceed here however he wants, including essentially leaving Jared Kushner in place and sharing whatever information he wants to share with him. The political accountability for that decision is extremely personal, however. You know, if he were to do that, everybody would know that he personally had done it, right, overruling the chief of staff. And everybody would know as well that he had done it for the benefit of his son-in-law, despite significant security concerns, among other people, by his national security advisor about his son-in-law's foreign contacts over financial issues. And I think the political potential for political blowback and political accountability there is pretty acute, and he would certainly be well advised not to do that. Saying that about the president is a bit of a fool's errand, but and look, the proper answer to this situation is that Jared Kushner should never have been in the White House, and certainly shouldn't be there now.
Ben, if you are Bob Mueller, obviously someone who keeps his cards very close to the vest, but how closely are you paying attention to this development, and how could this potentially fit into the broader Mueller probe? Well,
so on the one hand, it's unconnected, right, in the sense that the security clearance issues and the Russia investigation are not really the same stream of matters. On the other hand, one has to assume that it's at least a little bit connected, because Kushner, among other things, we first started thinking about Kushner's security clearance because of undisclosed contacts in the context of his SF-86 with Russian government actors, and that, of course, is within Mueller's purview. And so my assumption is that Mueller's people probably at least have situational awareness of this. And the Washington Post did report yesterday, as part of this incredible story that they ran, there was a reference to the fact that Mueller's people have been asking about Kushner's protocols that he used for taking foreign government or meetings with foreign actors outside of the NSC process. And so I think it's an open question in my mind how much this is on Mueller's radar screen, but I suspect it's not zero.
And Michael, pick up on that point. I mean, obviously, there has been a lot of talk about Jared Kushner and his foreign contacts. This raises the specter of that part of the probe, I would anticipate, if you're Robert Mueller or even lawmakers on Capitol Hill who are looking into this.
I do think it's a collision of some of the issues that are definitely front and center in the investigation, i.e. money laundering, or else what else financial obligations do the Trump and Kushner empires have to other people, and then the confluence with his security clearance. This is so in a mess of a thicket of thorns. I'm not sure how they're going to get out of this cleanly.
And just very quickly, this is from candidate Trump, who, of course, during his campaign rallies would say, lock her up. He accused Secretary Clinton of violating security. Now this is a real problem within his administration, because it's not just Jared Kushner. There are a number of other officials who've had their top clearances revoked.
It does make it much harder to go back to that campaign rhetoric and criticize other people and Hillary Clinton's sloppy handling of classified information if you're one of your chief guys, your emissary to Middle Eastern nations, has a security clearance problem. It's just a huge problem.
All right, Michael and Ben, thank you so much for helping us.